Apologies in advance to the pro tank crowd out there because on Sunday, the New York Jets secured a gritty 27-20 win over the Cleveland Browns. And right here on NY Flight Jets Talk, we're going to break down why Sunday's win means more than you think for Aaron Glenn and the future of the New York Jets organization, baby. Let's go.
This is NY Flight Jets Talk with Connor Long. NY Flight Jets Talk. We're talking Jets. NY Flight Jets Talk with special guests. NY Flight Jets Talk. Here's your host, Connor Long. Jets.
You are listening to NY Flight Jets Talk. Here's your host, Connor Long.
Yes, you are in fact listening to NY Flight Jets Talk, streaming live right here on YouTube and Twitter. What is going on, New York Jet fans? Hello. Welcome into the show as we come to you guys live right here on this Tuesday evening, November 11th, 2025. Be sure to drop down below, smash that like button, hit subscribe. That is the free way to support us and what we are doing right here on the channel. I'm your host, Jets X Factors, Connor Long. Of course, we appreciate your support as always. We want to engage with you guys. We want to hear what you guys have to say, your questions, your comments, your thoughts. Those can go in the chat down below. If you want to call into the show, you could do so with the link pinned at the top of the chat in the video description down below. So questions, comments, thoughts in the chat, call into the show with the pinned comment at the top of the chat and the link in the video description down below. Smash the like, hit subscribe. That's free and helps us grow a ton. Get your super chats in. Those will cut the line of chats that we have ready. So if you want to get your super chats in, you can send a super chat as we're monetized, of course, right here on the channel. You can also gift memberships, the other paid way to help support us. Super chats, again, will cut the line of chats and get your question read immediately, folks. Sunday, a win for the Jets, make it 2 in a row now for a team that started off 0-7, sailed into the bye week fresh off of a 39-38 victory over the Cincinnati Bengals. And then the Jets come out of the bye week. They host the Cleveland Browns, and they get their first win at home, 27-20 the final score. I think if you look at the game overall, it was special teams driven. This team had 2 special teams touchdowns in the first quarter, a 99-yard kick return touchdown from Kene Nwangu, a 74-yard punt return touchdown from Isaiah Williams. So it was special teams driven right out of the gate. And that's how the Jets got the spark that they needed early to further, of course, propel them to victory over the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. And I think if you just look at it from a Browns point of view, my takeaway would be Dillon Gabriel is not an NFL quarterback. He is absolutely terrible. I get it. It was not ideal conditions for either quarterback, and you know, as a result of that, both quarterbacks did not play well at all. Justin Fields, we're going to get into the conversation a little later about what his future looks like. It looks like in New York over these next few games, but he did not play well under any circumstance. 6 of 11, 54 yards, a touchdown, which came on a Breece Hall screen pass. And keep in mind, 42 of his 56 yards came on a screen pass to Breece Hall in the backfield. And then he also threw an interception that was a bad one across the middle of the field. Ronnie Hickman penetrated the cross, caught it, and then the Browns had a short field, and Dillon Gabriel threw a touchdown, and the Browns were back on the scoreboard in just one play. So when you look at this game overall from a Jets perspective, where I'm going to open is sorry to the Pro Tank fans. I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry to those who are rooting for the New York Jets to tank. I apologize. You guys know me. I'm anti-tank. I think first, I don't think it works. 2, I just can't root for my team to lose. And number 3, the New York Jets aren't going to tank. So there is no point, in my opinion, to be rooting for a tank. And I think Sunday was an example that, you know, Aaron Glenn maybe isn't the worst coach in the world after all. Maybe isn't. And I was critical of Glenn to start the year. I was not the most critical compared to some fans out there, some content creators out there. I was not the most critical of Glenn. I think I was fair with Glenn. I criticized him for his game management. I criticized him for some of his roster decisions to open the year, but I was not one of the people clamoring to fire Glenn after 5 weeks. 5 weeks into the year, I said, if the Jets continue to play like this and he continues to coach this way, there needs to be a conversation at the end of the year. But I was never one of the people trying to, have one and done talks 4 or 5 weeks into the season. That just wasn't my approach. And I think the biggest thing for Glenn is we've seen improvement from him now every single game. Every single game. The clock management issues were real coming out of the gate. There were some bad fourth down decisions to go for it. There were some bad fourth down decisions where the Jets punted it and they should have gone for it. I think week 6 was the perfect example when Aaron Glenn called a timeout on 4th and 1 and just ended up punting it away instead of drawing up a play to then go for it. He has been bad for the majority of the season when it comes to clock management, but I think these past 2 weeks he has improved there significantly when it comes to how and when he has allocated his timeouts, the decisions to go for it or not to go for it on fourth downs. And I think overall the play calling offensively and defensively has improved every single week this season. The coaching staff is young. Let's keep that in mind. With the exception of Steve Wilkes, who has been a coach in the NFL for over 20 years, he's bounced around. He has prior defensive coordinator experience. He was a head coach before. Tanner Engstrand is a first-year NFL offensive play caller. Aaron Glenn is a first-year head coach. So at the end of the day, we're continuing to see steady progress from this coaching staff week in and week out. And I think that's all that fans can really hope for, because at the end of the day, after the trade deadline, the one and done talks can officially stop. I thought they were ridiculous to begin with. I didn't see a world where Glenn would get canned after year one, but especially after the trade deadline where the Jets sold ownership, this new vision and this long-term rebuild, now that they're officially going to tear everything down and restart. All you could hope is for progress from Glenn and the coaching staff, because they're not going anywhere. And if the Jets fire them, it won't be anytime soon. They're going to have the rest of this year, they're going to have all of next year, and they're going to have the year after that. After this deadline, they locked up their spot for all of 2026 and all of 2027. At the very least. At the very, very, very least. So if these picks turn into disasters and the early returns aren't great, we're still looking at Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji for at least through the 2028 season. So it's great to see progress, especially on the coaching front, because Darren Muji, I think, has done a great job as the general manager of this team. I think a lot more of the issues and the team's struggle stem from Glenn's coaching compared to Muji's management of the team, not only from a cap perspective, but also a trade perspective and some of the value he is getting. And to transition over to the main topic of today's show is Sunday's win was more important than you guys think. The fan base, for the most part, in my opinion, well, they weren't nearly as excited as the 39-38 win against the Cincinnati Bengals. And that's justified. The Jets scored 39 points. It was their first win of the year. It was on the road. It came on such a tragic day, as, hours before we just get the news that Nick Mangold had passed away, and the Jets got the win for 74, and everyone was so excited. And it was the first win of the year, the first win for Aaron Glenn. It came in thrilling fashion. So gradually fans are not going to be as excited over a 27-20 win against the Cleveland Browns at home at MetLife Stadium in rainy conditions where it looked like 5,000 people were at MetLife Stadium. But at the end of the day, I think this win means more than fans are giving it credit for. Number one, the biggest thing for me is they played complementary football, and that is the first time this season I can confidently say that. They didn't even do that against Cincinnati, because the defense allowed 39 points. The defense did not play well at all against the Joe Flacco led offense in week 8 against the Bengals. The offense didn't play well here. The offense played terribly. There is no way of sugarcoating that. No way. The offense was awful. Point blank, period. And that has been the biggest issue this entire season. They haven't been able to rally around each other, talking about all three phases of the ball here. Some weeks the offense has found rhythm and the defense couldn't finish. Other weeks we've seen the defense dominate, but the offense couldn't move the ball, i.e., overseas on international television against the Denver Broncos in week 6. On Sunday, though, there was a difference. The Jets found a way to make everything click and to get the win. And that's what matters. That is what matters. And of course, it was the special teams that led the way. They accounted for 2 of the 3 touchdowns, a 99-yard kick return from Nwangu's 74-yard punt return from Isaiah Williams. And then defensively, the Jets turned in one of their strongest outings of the year. They allowed under 300 yards of total offense. 7 of the 20 points that they allowed came off of the Justin Fields interception that gave Cleveland a short field. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention this relentless pass rush, man. 6 sacks total, 4 of which stem from Will McDonald, a franchise-tying performance, an incredible game overall for this entire pass rush. For Will McDonald, this defense as a whole, granted it was against Dylan Gabriel, who again is just a god-awful NFL quarterback and really isn't a professional quarterback if these early returns mean anything. But at the end of the day, these units rallied around each other and got it done. They got to win. I'll move over to the offense now. I know I kind of gave my take how outright they just played terribly. I'll go a little more in depth here. Fields was awful. There's no way of sugarcoating that. He was absolutely unwatchable. And we're going to get into the conversation of, again, what is Justin Fields' future in New York? Does he hold on to this starting role? We're going to talk about that a little later on in the show. But at the end of the day, the Jets got something going on the ground late at the end of the game. That was the biggest thing. And I think it starts up front. It starts in the offensive line. And we are seeing now, 10 weeks through the NFL season, how important offensive line play is and how lucky the Jets are that now over time you're seeing all these players you allocated top assets into playing well. It's an incredible sight to see because everything starts up front offensively, and I think that's what a lot of people forget. Breece Hall, over 80 yards on the ground. That incredible receiving touchdown on that slip screen. An incredible play design from Tanner Engstrand and better execution by Breece Hall and his blockers, most notably Josh Myers. So there were glimmers of hope offensively, but the passing game was terrible. Terrible. And look, that's not a consistent formula to win football games. You can't throw for under 60 yards and win games every single week. And look, I'm not one of the people who's going to sit here and say, oh, you can only win if you throw for 400 yards. You can only win if you have a true pocket passer like Jared Goff or Baker Mayfield. There are ways to kind of finagle around that. Like, you don't need to have a quarterback who throws for 350 yards every game to win, but you need to have a quarterback who can complete over 60% of his passes. You need to have a quarterback who can make simple reads, who can go through his progressions, and one that you can at least rely on every single Sunday. And that has been the biggest issue with Justin Fields, not only throughout his Jets tenure, but the entirety of his career. The entirety of his career. And it's only getting highlighted even further throughout his Jets tenure because then you see performances, 240 passing yards against the Cincinnati Bengals, multiple touchdowns, keeping the chains moving, starting off 8 of 9 passing wise in the first quarter, over 70 yards passing wise in the first quarter. And then you see a performance like Sunday against the Browns. It's just inevitable. It's inevitable at this point. He's in year 5 of his career. This is who he is. I didn't think Justin Fields was going to be the guy long-term for the Jets going into this year. My whole mentality was just, you never know. And that's why I was intrigued in the untapped potential and upside that Justin Fields possessed entering this season. And now 10 weeks in, we know he's not the guy. And it's unfortunate because by all accounts, Justin Fields is a great guy. And at the end of the day, he has the talent. He's just never been able to piece it together. And now we're over midway through year 5. He's not getting another starting NFL opportunity after this season. Point blank, period, end of story. Now, the second reason, and I think the overarching takeaway from Sunday's game. That makes it all that much more important. Talking about the Jets win, of course, over the Cleveland Browns on Sunday, is the fact that Aaron Glenn has not lost the locker room. He hasn't lost the locker room. And that is easy to do as a first year head coach when your team starts off 0-7, when you trade away two of your best players at the NFL trade deadline. But at the end of the day, the locker room has remained, they've instilled their trust into his long-term vision, which I think is so important. They're still playing with the same energy, the same toughness, the same grit every single week. We continue to hear players in the post game shout out Glenn and what he's been able to do. Kanena Wangu credited Glenn for getting, quote, elite buy-in from the players. Brandon Stevens credited Aaron Glenn for making some crucial second half adjustments at halftime defensively. Nobody expected the Jets to make a playoff run this year in year one of the Aaron Glenn tenure. Nobody with realistic expectations expected that, and that certainly tailed off early on in the season when we just saw how incompetent this football team truly was to open the year. But at this point, every single win matters, not for the standings, not for the wild card conversation, but for the culture that is being built inside the locker room. The players want to win, period, end of story. That's it. And I know culture gets thrown around a lot, and we spoke a lot about this offseason. Is Aaron Glenn building a winning culture in New York? Is Aaron Glenn going to turn everything around in 1 year? At the end of the day, culture comes with winning. You can't be losing every single week and still have a great culture. You need to win to not only establish, but then maintain the culture that you've built. So for the Jets to maintain or build any sort of culture, they need to win. And again, that is why every single win matters here. Every single win matters. And again, the circumstances as well, trading away the game after you trade away Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, not only two cornerstone players, but players that Breece Hall referred to as, quote, brothers. It isn't easy, but the Jets rallied not only on defense, not only on special teams, but they made up for the poor offensive performance. The special teams picked up the slack. The defense didn't allow over 20 points. It was huge. That is the supportive and complementary football that you need to go out and win games every single Sunday. It was so important. And again, the storylines, everything that went on entering the game, Nick Mangold's family, his 4 kids, and his wife getting honored on the field ahead of the game. The Jets needed to beat Cleveland. It's not the opponent that I'm looking at. What I'm looking at here, folks, is the fact that they played complementary football. That is the biggest thing. And now you need to build on that every single week. Questions, comments, thoughts, throw all of those in the chat. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. Connor Long right here with you guys on a Tuesday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Call into the show with the link pinned in the video description down below, pinned at the top of the chat. Super chats, those will cut the line. Gift memberships, that's the other paid way to help support us and help us grow here on the channel. But most importantly, if you haven't already, be sure to smash that like button, folks, and hit subscribe. Because again, smash the like, hitting subscribe, that is entirely free. That does not cost you guys anything, and it means a lot. So again, please smash the like button, hit subscribe. I'm Connor Long right here with you guys on a Tuesday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk, baby. Thank you all for joining us, however and wherever you may be consuming this show. Now it's time to have the conversation. Justin Fields, what do the Jets do with him? Aaron Glenn continues to play hardball with the reporters. Aaron Glenn continues to shield the Jets starting quarterback from us. So it's an interesting conversation to be had. I mean, we'll have a conversation about Glenn's stinginess with the reporters in just a minute here. But with Justin Fields, if I had to make a prediction for who starts on Thursday, I think it is Justin Fields, who the Jets tried out on the field on prime time against the New England Patriots. But I think if the Jets really want to have any chance in winning this game, they have to put Tyrod Taylor out there. And this is such a mismatch for the Jets because, yes, the Jets are have momentum on their side right now. They've won both of their last 2 games. They just won on Sunday in a big game when you talk about the storylines, like I mentioned. But there's no hotter team in football right now than the New England Patriots, with a quarterback who is in his second year, but is receiving legitimate MVP hype already. They're 8-2, coming off a win on Sunday over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a very, very, very good football team. And if you look at the Jets right now, Will McDonald might not play on Thursday night. Azaria Thomas in concussion protocol was already ruled out yesterday by Aaron Glenn. They're going to be at a disadvantage on the defensive side of the ball, going up against a very, very, very good offense. And if the special teams plays half as good as they did on Sunday, which I mean, they don't score any touchdowns, maybe they get a nice return or two. And Austin McNamara and Nick Folk, they continue to do the thing that they've done all season long, which is stay consistent and be field flippers, McNamara in particular, for the Jets. So I look at all of that, and then I come to the realization of Tyrod Taylor gives you the best chance of winning. And the Jets are 11.5-point underdogs on Thursday night. They're not expected to win. I am not picking them to win. I think this is the 2-possession loss. I think they lose by 14 points. I think they lose by 17 points, something in that range. But at the end of the day, it's any given Sunday, any given Thursday night in this case for the New York Jets. And if they are somehow able to pull off a win against the New England Patriots on prime time, the things that would not only do for this fan base, but the praise, rightfully so, that the coaching staff would be receiving, the praise that the team would be receiving, the national headlines that the team would be receiving after starting 0-7, and then you extend your win streak to potentially 3 straight in the confines of Gillette Stadium against your arch rival, against a quarterback who was receiving MVP hype in his second season. And Tyrod Taylor gives you the best chance to win. So you need to put him out on the field. I don't know what the promise is with Justin Fields and the Jets, but after Sunday, there is no reason why he should be starting on Thursday. No reason at all. Based on what I've heard, Tyrod Taylor was in line to start the game against the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday before the bye week in week 8. And then because of his injury, Fields had to step in. That's where he dominated, and that's where he gave everyone full conviction that he needs to be the starter the first game back from the bye week. And I think that was well-deserved. I wrote an article as to why Fields needed to be the starter coming out of the bye. You can't bench someone after he put up 39 points and got you the first win of the year. You can't do that. But at the end of the day, so much has changed since then. The harsh reality is Thursday night would be a culture-changing and organization-shifting win for the Jets. And Tyrod Taylor gives you the best chance to complete that goal. The Jets beating the Patriots on Thursday Night Football would be like how the Giants took down the Philadelphia Eagles on Thursday Night Football earlier on in the season. That's what this game would be like for the Jets if they were somehow able to come out on the victorious side. And again, I don't see it. I really, really don't. I think the Patriots have the Jets outmatched at every single position. The Patriots are a better coached football team. The Patriots are a more talented football team at the end of the day. But when all is said and done, this win would be huge for the Jets. Just that possibility, and Tyrod Taylor gives you the best chance to come out on top and secure that win. So those are my thoughts. Again, questions, comments, your thoughts, throw those in the chat. Call into the show with the link pinned at the top of the chat or in the video description down below. Smash the like, hit subscribe. I'm Connor Long, ready with you guys on a Tuesday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. We'll open it up now Q&A style for the rest of the show, so get everything in the chat. We'll begin to go through those as we kind of wind things down. We'll probably stay on, another 5 to 15 minutes, however long you guys want to carry the show with everything you got in the chat. So load everything up, and we will hit all of that right now. Green Bean, fellow Jets content creator. What's up, Bean? Good to see you, my man. Says Jets fans are totally spun out on how to feel these days. Winning has become a negative We officially need group therapy. Well, first off, shout out to you, Bean. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for joining us. And look, there's the pro tank crowd, there's the anti tank crowd. At the end of the day, I think it's all nonsense. The Jets aren't tanking. Every single person in the Jets organization is trying to win. They want to win as many football games as possible. Tanking is non existent within the Jets organization. The fact that winning has become a negative is just ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. This team hasn't made the playoffs in 15 years. This team has not won more than 7 games in a decade. Who are, I'm never going to tell a fan not a fan, but what are fans doing complaining about wins? It's been the lack thereof that we've been complaining about over the past decade, over the past 15 years. And now the conversation about putting you in the top position to take a quarterback, I'm actually working on an article about this right now. Draft position really doesn't matter as much as you think. It matters. Like, sure, the Jets have a higher chance of getting a quarterback if they're picking number 1 overall compared to picking number 9. Sure. Like, if you want to play that way, sure. But when you look at past history, these number 1 overall picks have not been surefire things. They just haven't. Last year's draft, Caleb Williams went number 1 overall. Drake May, who is leading now in betting odds to be the MVP, went number 2. Who would you take? You'd take Drake May over Caleb Williams if you could do that back. Look back a few years ago. Bryce Young went number 1 overall. Bryce Young is not a number 1 overall quarterback. Trevor Lawrence was the can't miss player. Trevor Lawrence is okay. He's good. He's not number 1 overall pick, franchise altering. Good. So if you look at, past history, number 1 overall pick has not been all that successful over the past decade plus. So I think fans need to keep that in mind when we have the conversation about tanking and things like that. Trayvon Walker, a defensive end who the Jaguars took in 2022, number 1 overall. How great has he been? I know he's not a quarterback, but it just feeds into the number 1 overall pick narrative and how much it really just doesn't affect your chance of getting the franchise changing guy. Jameis Winston, 2015, another one. I continue to rattle off these names. Florida State, can't miss franchise changing player. He is behind Russell Wilson in 2025 on the New York Giants depth chart. So really, with the exception of Cam Newton in 2011, Stafford maybe in 2009, Goff in 2016, there haven't been these number 1 overall picks who are can't miss and then really pan out. Kyler Murray has been an unmitigated disaster. Joe Burrow, yeah, he's made it to a Super Bowl. He's a top 3 quarterback in the sport, but he can't find the fields. So I say all of that to say draft positioning does not matter. The quarterback who just won Super Bowl MVP and has been in the Super Bowl two out of the past 3 seasons in Jalen Hurts was a second round selection. That's all I gotta say. And you could point, sure, the surrounding cast, this and that. And the people, frankly, who try to say that and try to say, oh, it's the surrounding cast with Jalen Hurts, surrounding cast, that's why he's having all that success, are the same people who are saying Aaron Rodgers, the Jets should have kept Aaron Rodgers because the Steelers have a good record. And it doesn't matter about the surrounding cast. All that matters, the Steelers have the same record. So you can't have it both ways. At the end of the day, Jalen Hurts was a second round pick. He won Super Bowl MVP. I do not give a damn about the surrounding cast. If you win a Super Bowl, you become a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, especially when at this point in the NFL right now, there aren't really like a surplus and in influx of all these incredible quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. That's a whole nother debate for a whole nother time. All I'm saying, draft positioning, folks, does not matter. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. I'm Connor Long right here with you guys on a Tuesday edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Again, questions, comments, thoughts, throw all of those in the chat for me to get to. Call into the show with the pinned link at the top of the chat. We appreciate your support as always right here on the show. Let's go over to the phone lines. First up is our guy, Philly Noodles. What's up, Philly? Good to see you, man.
Good evening, good sir. How you doing?
Doing well.
I feel the opposite of a Glenn Presser. I'm very calm here. I feel very good. I feel very good spirit. Like nothing goes crazy here. It's just we're just chopping it up. Dude, so I've been trying to echo that sentiment that no matter what,
Yeah.
you don't have to take the quarterback number. We don't know. No franchise. First off, if you're a GM, you don't even want to be thrusted into that nonsense of having to take the number one overall pick. It's nerve wracking. I mean, Moogie may have to get an apartment. Like, imagine him at home. Can you imagine being at home? And that's the pressing situation you have. That's like, do we press the nuke button? Like you're basically the president.
Exactly, and it means so much for this regime, Philly, because whatever quarterback they take, they're riding and dying with. So I think it's going to be super important for them not to rush this thing. If your quarterback isn't in this draft, don't take a quarterback. Point blank period. Wait until next year. I mentioned it earlier on in the show in the opening monologue. This regime, after the trade deadline and the influx of draft picks they acquired, they're going to be here for all of next year, and they're going to be here for all of 2028, no matter what. At the very least.
Yeah, it's so you have to just sit back, look at it, and say, first off, if I'm a QB and I'm coming out of college, we already seen it because the veil has been pulled on how the veil's been pulled since Roethlisberger, Eli, and Phillip Rivers. That night, for me, as I saw that as a teenager, forever, that night had let me know, oh, you can dictate where you're going to go if you have the pull. So to me, mentally, if I'm a QB and I see somehow that the Jets come back up and go get me, they go, no, we're going to go get that guy. It speaks a different volume to a QB who might just, like, let's say Mendoza. Okay, yeah, he can go number one. Let's say the Saints trash out the season. He's not going there. Let's say the Raiders are like, we'll take the chance on him because, he's got some polished skills and he'll sit behind Geno for a year or two. They could take the chance. They could select him high, but it seems like maybe they'll go a different route. But to me, it's like if we go up and we say, let's say it's him or it's not even him, but in general, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, let me go grab that guy. Yeah. We're going to come back up. Like, look what it did to JJ. Jermaine Johnson, he'll run through walls right now for whoever's the coach, as long as he's a Jet right now. Because they were like, no, we don't care what's going on with him. We need him in this room. We needed him. And they went and got him, and he has an ever-dying love for the franchise right now. And that speaks volumes. So let's say they sit back and they go, we're going to go get Drew Aller because we went to see him. We know he's hurt. He's bummed up. But what happens if he sits for one season, comes in half a season, and he's healed up? You don't know. Or maybe there's another quarterback they'd go and take a shot at. But to me, it's, again, gun to the head and trigger and pull on a QB on the top of the draft is not a good semblance. I mean, look what just happened to a coach with the Jaguars selecting it. We were supposed to tank for Lawrence. Remember that?
No, hell yeah, I do.
We were supposed to.
Braden Mann was public enemy number one for 3 years.
We were supposed to. And how has that played out? One playoff berth? That's like saying everyone wanted Rodgers for another 2 seasons. Like, come on, man. Just let it ride. Like, first off, we're just fans, so just let it ride. But I can tell you, you're allowed to get mad. But do not think that the best seat in the house is the very front. Because guess what? Guess who takes the first impact of a crash? The person in the front of whatever the hell is coming.
Yeah.
So, I'd rather be behind a few seats being like, yo, you saw that? I missed that, bro. Thank God.
Yeah, certainly. And to kind of touch on what you said about the quarterbacks, I think this is going to be different. I think a lot of quarterbacks relative to the teams picking in the top of the draft are going to want to go to the Jets. And I know that sounds crazy, if you just to the average NFL fan, why the hell would a quarterback want to go play for the Jets? But if you look at the teams picking, we're going to take a quarterback. Tennessee is not taking a quarterback unless there's, they get the new head coach in there, whoever that may be, and they just want to fully reset. But I really don't see a world where they take a quarterback in
Yeah.
the first round, let alone the top three. Most likely, New Orleans is an interesting team. Their offensive coordinator, Doug Nussmeier, is Garrett Nussmeier's dad. So we were talking about that connection for a while. The problem is Garrett Nussmeier does not look like a first round talent. He was,
Let him let
he
them
was
trade up for him.
yeah, he was benched on Saturday night. Then you have the Browns who are going to take a quarterback, the Raiders, the Dolphins, potentially the Cardinals in that conversation. The
Yeah.
reason I think the Jets stick out so much there is they have an established offensive line. This is a
Yeah.
unit. By April, they're going to have 1 year under their belt together and a very good year at that. Also, they have an elite pass catcher in Garrett Wilson who's locked
Yeah.
up here for the long term. They have a strong defense up front. There are
Breeze.
building blocks there. They have Brees Hall, who, while
They
the
signed
future
him.
still remains up in the air, I think he will be back unless, something unforeseen happens. I think he will be back,
Mm.
whether it's on a transition tag, a franchise tag, or a whole new contract next season. They have a pass catching tight end in
Taylor.
Mason Taylor, absolutely. And this year, the Jets have 3 picks projected to be in the top 45. They have 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks in the 2027 NFL draft. That's more than enough to not
Ammunition.
only, utilize what you have, but build even more infrastructure around this quarterback so they can come in and be that elite QB that they were initially scouted as, compared to the Saints and the Browns. Like, you're just a dead man walking once you get into that organization, just how poorly the offensive line is and that whole surrounding cast. Like, I think the Jets are different than the top teams expected to take a QB this year.
Dude, and I really appreciate your Philadelphia Eagles take there. Because, I mean, listen, Jerry Jones could have been called crazy when they selected Dak 4th round, right? That could have been, that's crazy. I mean, Nick Foles won a Super Bowl. God knows where he was picked. Tom Brady. Look at Brock Purdy. I mean, injuries, sure. But, yeah, the Eagles to me have set the standard besides, obviously, the Chiefs. But look where he came from. Look where that coach came from. You know what I mean? Like, they set the standard in the way they draft, the way they move around the board. They didn't take the number 1 overall quarterback. They took a shot on Jalen Hurts, quote unquote. And then they even brought up people after him where it's like, well, just in case he sucks. They were the rumors were there. Everything was swirling. I just think that it's sad to say it seems like Jalen Hurts is light years better than Fields, right? Obviously. But just the way they brought that team around, they did it with a lot of ammunition. So to Boogie's ears from our mouths, whichever way that works. Godspeed and Dan Patriots. Just, I mean, God, just sack Drake May at least 3 times. You know what I mean? I need at least 3.
Thank you for the call, Philly. Talk to you soon, man.
Better, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, Philly Noodles joining us right here on the show. Again, smash the like button, hit subscribe. I'm Connor Long, right here with you guys in NY Flight Jets Talk. We're going to wrap up here soon, so get your final questions, comments, thoughts in the chat. Last chance to get in on our phone lines if you want to call into the show with the link pinned at the top of the chat in the description down below as well. We appreciate the hell out of you guys, folks. We appreciate all of your support right here on the program, baby. Short week. TBD on whether there will be a show or not tomorrow, but there will be a pregame and then the postgame video, of course, on Thursday night. So certainly stay tuned for that, folks. We might go live after the game. If it is a interesting game and it's an eventful one and we got some stuff to talk about, we'll do a live stream instead of a video. And we got a caller coming in at the buzzer, a Patriots fan. It's our guy DTN joining us right here on the program. DTN, we haven't spoken in a while, man. How you been?
Doing good, Connor. How are you?
I'm doing well. Can't complain, my friend.
So I want to ask you this. So I watched Matt's video, I think it was like a couple hours ago, and I heard that there were some reports that Aaron Glenn was having like fight with the media about like Rich Samini's report. Is it true that Garrett Wilson will be out this upcoming Thursday?
Yes, he, according to Rich Samini, who does an incredible job covering this team, his initial report that came out yesterday afternoon, he is out for at least 3 to 4 weeks and a potential IR candidate. So he avoided surgery, but he will be out certainly this Thursday and potentially a candidate for injured reserve.
Okay, that's what I thought, because I don't know why Aaron Glenn was having like such a huge fuss with the media about like,
Yeah.
oh, with the injury reports and that, because I know that based off of the injury report that I saw with both of our teams, I know AZ Thomas will be out, Garrett will be out, and then let me guess, Harrison Phillips could be potentially out.
Yes, so Harrison Phillips was seen today at the facility in a walking boot. He is injured. It seems like a left foot injury, I believe, was the official report. He did not practice yesterday. He didn't practice again today. Will McDonald did not practice yesterday. He was a limited participant today. Braden McGregor has been a limited participant in both practices. Khalil Herbert limited yesterday, full capacity today. Kiko Mawinoa, who was out due to an injury on Sunday, has fully practices now both days, and Xavier Newman, who also missed Sunday's game, was limited yesterday but in full capacity today. So I'm assuming, if I had to make a prediction, Phillips will be out, AZ Thomas will be out, Garrett Wilson will be out, and I think Will McDonald will play. But still, those are three difference makers who the Jets are potentially going to be without, one guaranteed in Garrett.
Yeah, for sure. Are there like going to be any like players that could potentially be elevated from the practice squad and hopefully fill those holes? So like if AZ Thomas is out, I know you still got like Stevenson, Brownlee, but who will be able to like take over for AZ Thomas' place?
Yeah, so I'd assume Steve, because obviously there's no more Sauce Gardner, DTN, so Stevens is kind of taking over that primary CB1 role, and I think Brownlee is going to play on the outside to kind of to mirror Stevens, of course, and I think those are going to be the two boundary guys. But I think the Jets are going to kind of feel comfortable mixing and matching it over there at the cornerback position. They've been able to do that all season long. Isaiah Oliver, he's an interesting name to watch. He's struggled all year long, but he's a guy who, of course, has experience in Steve Wilkes' scheme, can play safety for you, can play nickel corner, can play boundary corner. His role, he's going to be interesting to watch. As it pertains to the practice squad for any potential elevations, a lot of them do come in the middle of nowhere. If I just had to look at their practice squad right now as I have it pulled up down below, Jordan Clark can be an interesting name to watch. I reported him signing to the practice squad earlier on in the year. He was a standout player at Notre Dame, the son of Ryan Clark, a UDFA, who they could potentially elevate for Thursday night's game. Nick Nadim is the Nick Needham. I hope I'm saying that correctly. He played for the Dolphins. He has NFL experience. They signed him to the practice squad earlier in the year. He's a potential name to watch. I would say Jamal Pritchard at the wide receiver position. They don't seem to have any confidence in him. Keep an eye out. Quentin Skinner, Brandon Smith, or I'll also throw in Trenton Irwin, the former Bengal, who they signed earlier in the year. Maybe those guys at the wide receiver position, but I'd assume one of Nick Nadim or Jordan Clark will be elevated to the active roster for Thursday night.
Interesting. Also, I after the trades with like you acquired John Mechie from the Eagles and then A.D. Mitchell from the Colts. So like, would you see any of these two being your wide receiver one for that Patriots game this upcoming Thursday?
So it's an interesting conversation to have, right, DTN, because A.D. Mitchell was actually inactive on Sunday, and Aaron Glenn was asked about it yesterday, and he pretty much accredited to the fact that he was acquired on Tuesday, didn't have enough time to learn the playbook, and they wanted to put him in the right situation out of the gate. So I still don't know if he will play on Thursday night. If he does, I don't see him, leading the team in receiving yards. I think the upside's there. I think he can certainly be a legit playmaker down the road for the Jets. I don't know about Thursday night, though. With Mechie, it was kind of like a soft introduction to him on Sunday. He had a blown-up rushing play and then had a nice 3-yard reception. We'll see what it looks like with him. If I had to make a prediction, I think Tyler Johnson leads the team in receiving yards on Thursday night. This is a guy who hasn't been flashy by any measure, but he's able to kind of, to shake a defender loose downfield. And you see some of the plays that he gets, they come in 20-yard chunks. So it depends who's the quarterback, of course. But I think Tyler Johnson is the receiver to watch on Thursday night.
Interesting. This is definitely some useful information because definitely I will be doing like a Jets preview tomorrow night. So it basically gets me like information for like which certain matches I would definitely see if it pertains cornerback and wide receivers. If I see like Gonzo on Johnson or maybe like Carlton Davis onto like, I would assume it's going to be no, I don't think Josh Reynolds is going to be available. So
Yeah.
I don't know like the wide receiver room now that Garrett is out, so it's going to be really interesting seeing which cornerbacks are going to line up and which receivers, and seeing if our young safety tandem in Craig Woodson and Jalen Hawkins can take care of Mason Taylor, because I think Mason Taylor has been a promising tight end for you guys.
Well said. I appreciate the call, DTN, and we will both be anxiously watching the game on Thursday night. Less anxious for you though, because
Well, we shall see. It's gonna be a fun rivalry, nevertheless.
absolutely. And I appreciate the call. Are you going to be at the game? I know you're in Massachusetts. Are you going to be at the game?
I know Colby's at the game, but I already went to the Pats Panthers game, so I might be busy this week. But I will. But I will be keeping an eye on that Patriots Jets game.
Hell yeah! There we go. Great call, and we'll talk soon, DTN.
Yeah, for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, DTN checking in, our resident Patriots fan, right here on the show. Shout out to you, DTN. Thank you for supporting us right here on the program, folks. Questions, comments, thoughts. Again, get those final opportunity to throw those in the chat. We got a $5 super chat from Lou B. Shout out to you, Lou B. Thank you for your support. So happy I won. Thank you, Connor. Of course, that Joe Klecko jersey will be off to you. Connor, if we draft a QB, what QB options are out there for a bridge? Can you name a few? Absolutely. It's interesting. The bridge conversation is really interesting because the free agents this year aren't great. It's Zach Wilson, Russell Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers pretty much headlining those quarterbacks available. One free agent who maybe poses an intriguing name could be Marcus Mariota. He's still able to rush. He's able to use his legs. He's kind of like a lower caliber Tyrod Taylor. And I would mention Tyrod as a bridge. It's just he's hurt way too much. Like he can't give you 17 games as a bridge. We saw this year he had to get his knee scoped before the season even started. He hadn't played in the freaking preseason game before that injury occurred. So I think he's way too injury prone to be a true bridge option for you. I'd say Mariota, a trade for Mac Jones, maybe. That could be in the question. Jacoby Brissett is an interesting name to watch, assuming that he doesn't get brought back there in Arizona. Those are the names, but I think primarily you're looking at the quarterback in the draft and maybe Justin Fields. Let's not count that possibility out. And I'm not clamoring for Fields to be back next year, but he is under contract. The Jets can get out of the deal after this year if they really want, but he is under contract for next season as well. So let's keep that in mind as well. Let's not sign off on Justin Fields potentially coming back next year. But thank you for the $5 super chat, Luby. Thank you to everyone who joined us right here on this beautiful Tuesday evening, November 11th, 2025. Smash the like button, hit subscribe. We appreciate your support as always right here on the ATS, baby. Jets. Peace out, folks.